I want to start off by saying that I'm not a Souls gamer. That is to say that I haven't actually played a lot of Dark Souls titles. Before this, I had Dark Souls 3. I still have it in my Steam account, however, as of recording this video, I've only put in about 3.9 hours. So, this is a look at Elden Ring from someone who isn't a hardcore Dark Souls fan. That being said, I've put in almost 100 hours right now into Elden Ring. If you don't know or you've been living under a rock, Elden Ring is a first-person fantasy adventure game with bits of multiplayer scattered about. You play as a Tarnished, who has been empowered by a fragment of a broken artifact of some sort called the Elden Ring. You're on a quest to hunt down other parts of the ring that are currently in the hands of monsters, deities, gods, all kinds of things. And though I'm not really sure what you're going to do with it when you get them all together, you definitely need to find them. That's been made very clear. Oh, yeah, and in case you missed it, it's also the 2022 Game of the Year. I'm going to be going through and talking a bit about Elden Ring, my experiences with it in the time that I've spent with it, and go through what I think of it. I'm also going to be giving you some pros and cons at the end in case you haven't played it, you're considering it, or want to just get a better idea for what I think about the game. Let's start off with the controls. I've been playing Elden Ring on PC using a mouse and keyboard because, well, it's a PC game. And that's how I play games on PC. This is kind of important to know, as some of the issues that I've encountered, I'm pretty sure we're down to using a mouse and keyboard rather than a controller. Or at least that's what I've been led to believe. From what I understand, the game was designed for a controller. If you're someone who needs to rebind keys, you may find some issues here, as you can't rebind all of the keys to different actions. The controls in general sometimes feel odd. You won't be able to easily navigate in fights. The targeting selection will change off of the target you're on, and the queuing of actions when fighting is a bit of a mess. If you're on PC using a keyboard, you'll also hit an issue with what's called sticky keys. This is where, let's say you're dodging by hitting a button over and over again, and as soon as you hit it a certain number of times, Windows will pull you out of the game to warn you that you've hit the button a couple times, and ask you if you want to turn on sticky keys. Usually by the time you've figured that out and go back into the game, you're dead. There is a way to fix this, and I'll go through that in another video. But for now, let's go ahead and move on. Another issue is you can't look up or down very far, and not when using a ranged weapon, which can cause some issues if you have someone either above you or below you. NPCs also can't climb ladders, which is just kind of strange when they fall off of a location and can't get to you. There's a few other things that are kind of odd, such as you can't hit items that are on the ground in front of you. You'll have skulls with glowing eyes that have things in them that you want to acquire, but in order to get those, you have to break open the skull. If you stand in front of it and swing your weapon, you'll just be hitting dead air the whole time without being able to break it open. Another issue is trying to navigate the map. You can't drag and move the map around. You need to use special keys to be able to navigate to predefined spots, which is all a little bit, different and confusing when compared with other games. All that being said, the animations are actually really good, and the hits feel impactful, even if they are a little bit delayed. It feels a lot of the time like the game is difficult due to it being broken, more than due to the challenge of the actual creatures that you're fighting. Well, that is until you get into a boss fight and get yeeted off a bridge or one-shotted. And then you realize it's difficult for both reasons. The character creator is pretty well detailed and allows for a lot of variance when starting off. You have a lot of different options to be able to create your character, such as different faces, ages, even body hair, which is pretty cool. You can choose one of 10 different base classes, which are called bases in Elden Ring. I think the reason they call it bases is because it's really just a starting point. No matter what class you choose, you can still end up in the exact same spot. Literally all choosing that initial class is going to do for you is decide and define what level you start at and what weapons and equipment you get. You aren't restricted in any way by the class you choose at all. It's one of the great things that makes it truly dynamic. This game looks absolutely amazing. Ever since the first time I saw people playing it online, I knew that I had to get this game. It's got a dark and mysterious vibe to it. You're surrounded by surprises and adventure around every corner. The level of detail on the character models and everything that you run into is absolutely amazing. I can't give it enough praise. The exploration in this game really pays off, and it's beautifully crafted. The whole world is just amazing. I can literally sit on the edge of a cliff, looking out over the area and just feel a sense of wonder and watching how beautiful it is. There is a story. It's just something you have to dig a bit for. And it's a little confusing for the first while. There are side quests as well. I absolutely love them, but don't expect for there to be any map markers or icons above people's heads. You'll need to hunt down the quests and follow the verbal directions that you get in order to complete them. But they are totally worth it. There's also a massive amount of equipment in the game you can acquire, anywhere from spells and prayers to bows and hammers, and the ability to improve on your own weapons with smithing and a unique system called Ashes of War that allows you to add different attributes to the weapons, like fire, holy damage. Sometimes you can even cast a spell or two. As someone who loves to dive into the details and configure my own loadout, this really hit the spot for me. There are literally hundreds of hours worth of gameplay here, and there's a bit of PvP for when you want to check and see how you stack up against other players. Though you may be hindered a bit by the controls, you'll still find yourself fully immersed while playing. So now we're down to the pros and cons. Let's start with the pros. Exploration. When I get tired of trying to fight the same boss over and over again, I can just hop out and start exploring the world. It creates a great counterpoint to boss grinding, where you're learning their movesets and dealing with the frustration of dying over and over again. Customization is also really great here. The amount of work that went into the spells, weapons, armor, and systems is staggering. It's taken me quite a while to get a hold of it, and I can't get enough. The graphics here in Elden Ring are absolutely amazing. It's one of the most pleasing games I've seen graphically in a long time. The challenge here, the complexity of this game when fighting the bosses and mobs, it's really dynamic. I had to constantly reconfigure my build and move things around so that I could clear certain areas. And now, on to the cons. Bugs. It's got a lot of issues, anywhere from targeting to the map and more. I'm not sure if it's due to the game engine or something else, but I would expect better from a AAA title. Keyboard configuration is also a pretty big one. A lot of people don't use the standard keyboard configuration, and though you can reconfigure some of the options, there are a few that you just can't. This can cause a challenge for people who are left-handed, differently abled, have specific hardware, and those who just have their own way of playing. Overall, Elden Ring is a game that I'll be playing for a long time to come, and I thoroughly enjoy it. It's a lot like a relationship. It's left me confused, frustrated, and at times even angry, but I'm always wanting more. With all the bugs, I have to take some points off, so overall, I'm giving Elden Ring a 7.5 out of 10. If you like this content and want to see more, like, subscribe, and leave a comment for the YouTube gods. Thanks everyone, and have a fantastic day.